Maya Rodriguez pressed her face against the cold metal window of the research station and watched the alien ships dock below. 3 massive vessels, each one bigger than anything Earth had ever built, moved with grace through the darkness of space. Their hulls gleamed like silver fish under the station's lights. She had been waiting for this moment for 6 months. First contact with the Zephyrian Alliance was supposed to change everything for humanity. These aliens had reached out to Earth with promises of friendship and knowledge. They spoke of a great galactic community where peaceful species shared technology and wisdom. Maya pulled her long black hair back into a tight ponytail and checked her equipment one more time. At 23, she was the youngest xenobiologist ever chosen for a first contact mission. Her colleagues back on Earth said she was too young, too eager. But Maya had spent her entire life dreaming of meeting life from other worlds. The station commander, Captain Lewis Brown, walked into the observation deck where Maya stood. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. Maya had noticed that he seemed worried about something, but he would not tell her what. "They are here," Captain Brown said. "Are you ready for this?" Maya nodded. "I have been ready my whole life." The captain looked out at the alien ships. "Remember what we discussed. Let them lead the conversations. Do not ask too many questions. We need them to trust us." Maya understood the politics, but science was what mattered to her. These beings had traveled between the stars for thousands of years. They had seen forms of life that humans could not even imagine. The things she could learn from them would advance human knowledge by centuries. The first Zephyrians to board the station were tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow softly. Their eyes were larger than human eyes, and they had no hair. They wore simple gray robes that covered most of their bodies. When they spoke, their voices sounded like music. "Greetings, humans," said their leader, who called himself Ambassador Vex. "We are honored to meet the newest intelligent species in this galaxy." Maya felt her heart racing with excitement. She was looking at beings from another world, and they were speaking to her. They had language, culture, technology beyond anything humans possessed. This was the greatest moment in human history. The first few days went perfectly. The Zephyrians shared stories about their home worlds and the other species they had met. They showed Maya images of incredible alien cities and vast space fleets. They spoke of peace and cooperation among the stars. Maya spent hours each day talking with the Zephyrian scientists. They were fascinated by human biology and asked many questions about how humans had evolved. Maya was happy to share everything she knew. She believed that knowledge should be free, especially between species that wanted to be friends. But as the days passed, Maya began to notice strange things. The Zephyrians were very interested in human genetics, more than seemed normal, for a friendly first contact. They asked detailed questions about human DNA and brain structure. They wanted to know about human emotions and stress responses. When Maya asked about visiting their restricted research areas, Ambassador Vex politely refused. He said there were dangerous experiments happening that could harm humans. Maya accepted this explanation at first, but her curiosity grew stronger each day. On the 7th day of the meeting, Maya was working in her laboratory when she heard strange sounds coming from the restricted section of the station. The sounds were like screaming, but not quite human. They were followed by the hum of unknown machinery. Maya tried to focus on her work, but the sounds continued. She had been trained as a scientist to investigate unusual phenomena. Every part of her education told her to find out what was happening behind those locked doors. That night, Maya waited until the station was quiet. Most of the crew was asleep, and the Zephyrians had returned to their ships. She used her access codes to enter areas she was not supposed to visit. The restricted section was much larger than Maya had expected. It contained laboratories filled with equipment she did not recognize. Strange lights pulsed from machines that looked nothing like human technology. The air smelled wrong, like chemicals and something else she could not identify. Maya moved deeper into the restricted area, following the sounds she had heard earlier. She found a room filled with glass containers, each one holding something that made her stomach turn. Inside the containers were parts of different alien species, floating in green liquid. There were organs and tissue samples from beings she had never seen before. But what made Maya's blood turn cold was what she found in the next room. There were living beings in cages, creatures from different worlds. They looked sick and frightened. Some had been cut open and sewn back together. Others had strange devices attached to their heads. Maya realized she was looking at a laboratory where the Zephyrians conducted experiments on living beings. These were not peaceful scientists sharing knowledge. They were something much worse. She quickly activated her portable recording device and began documenting everything she saw. She took pictures of the cages, the experiments, and the suffering creatures. This evidence had to reach Earth immediately. As Maya worked to gather proof, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned to see Ambassador Vex and two other Zephyrians standing in the doorway. Their musical voices were gone, replaced by cold, harsh tones. "Human Maya Rodriguez," Ambassador Vex said. "You were not supposed to see this." Maya backed away from them, still holding her recording device. "What is this place? What are you doing to these beings?" "We are conducting research," Vex replied. "Research that will benefit all species in the galaxy once we understand how different forms of life respond to various stimuli." "This is torture," Maya said. "These beings are suffering." Vex tilted his head, as if he did not understand her words. "Suffering is a primitive concept. We are gathering data that will help us improve life throughout the galaxy. Your species will benefit from this knowledge." Maya realized that the Zephyrians did not see other beings as equals. To them, every other species was just material for their experiments. The friendship they had offered to humanity was a lie. "I have to report this to Earth," Maya said, backing toward the door. "No," Vex said simply. "You will not." The other Zephyrians moved to block Maya's escape. She tried to run, but they were faster than they looked. Cold hands grabbed her arms, and she felt something sharp pierce her neck. The world began to spin, and darkness closed around her vision. As Maya lost consciousness, she heard Vex speaking to his companions. "Prepare a new cage. We finally have a human specimen to study. Her species shows great promise for our research." Maya's last thought before the darkness took her was that she had failed. Earth would never learn the truth about their new alien friends. Humanity was walking into a trap, and she was the only one who knew it. Commander Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency alarm started screaming through the orbital defense station. He set down his cup and ran to the communications center, where Lieutenant Carol Wright was staring at her screens with a confused expression. "What do we have?" Jake asked, sliding into his command chair. "Sir, we are getting a fragmented transmission from the research station at Kepler 442b, Carol replied. The signal is weak and breaking up, but it appears to be from Dr. Maya Rodriguez. Jake felt his stomach tighten. Maya was supposed to be conducting peaceful first contact protocols with the Zephyrian Alliance. Her mission was going smoothly according to all previous reports. There should be no reason for an emergency transmission. "Put it through," Jake ordered. The speakers crackled with static, and then Maya's voice came through, distorted and desperate. "Earth Control, this is Maya Rodriguez. The Zephyrians are not what they seem. I have discovered evidence of experiments on living beings. They are torturing alien species in hidden laboratories. The friendship offer is a trap. They plan to study humans the same way. I am transmitting data now, but they have found me. If you do not hear from me again, assume I have been captured. Do not trust them. Do not let them near Earth. They are dangerous. They are coming for me now. The data is in packet 77 Alpha. Tell my family I love them." The transmission cut to static. Jake stared at the speakers, trying to process what he had just heard. Maya's voice had been filled with terror, something he had never heard from the confident young scientist. If what she said was true, then humanity's first contact with alien life was not a blessing, but a nightmare. "Did we get the data packet she mentioned?" Jake asked. Lieutenant Wright worked at her console, her fingers moving quickly over the controls. After several minutes, she shook her head. "Sir, the transmission was too damaged. We received fragments of packet 77 Alpha, but most of the data is corrupted. I can make out some images, but they are unclear." Jake walked over to look at Wright's screen. The fragments showed blurry pictures of what might have been laboratory equipment and glass containers. One image seemed to show a cage, but the details were impossible to make out clearly. "This is not enough," Jake said. "We need more information before we can take any action." "Sir, should we contact the research station directly?" Wright asked. Jake considered this option. If Maya had been captured, then calling the station might alert the Zephyrians that Earth had received her warning. But if she was still free, she might need help. "Try to establish contact with Captain Brown," Jake decided. "Use standard protocols. Do not mention Maya's transmission." Wright sent the call, but after 20 minutes of trying, there was no response from the research station. This was unusual. The station maintained regular communication schedules with Earth, and Captain Brown had never missed a scheduled contact before. Jake walked to his office and activated the secure communication line to Earth Command. Director Lisa Hamilton appeared on his screen within minutes. She was a woman in her 50s with short brown hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Commander Morrison," Director Hamilton said, "I understand you have a situation." Jake explained about Maya's transmission and the lack of response from the research station. He watched Hamilton's face grow more serious as he spoke. "Show me the data fragments," Hamilton ordered. Jake transmitted the corrupted images to Hamilton's office. She studied them carefully, bringing in technical experts to enhance the pictures as much as possible. After an hour of analysis, she contacted Jake again. "Commander, these images are disturbing, but not conclusive," Hamilton said. "They could show laboratory equipment, but we cannot determine what kind of experiments might be taking place. We need more information before we can take any action that might start an interstellar war." Jake understood the political situation. Humanity had been thrilled to make contact with an advanced alien civilization. The Zephyrians had offered to share technology and knowledge that would advance human society by centuries. Starting a conflict based on one damaged transmission could destroy humanity's only chance to join the galactic community. "What are your orders, Director?" Jake asked. Continue trying to contact the research station. If you cannot reach Captain Brown within 24 hours, we will send a rescue mission, but we must be careful. If the Zephyrians are truly peaceful and Maya simply misunderstood what she saw, we could destroy our relationship with them forever. Jake did not like this decision, but he understood it. The stakes were too high to act without better information. He spent the rest of the day trying to contact the research station, but every attempt failed. The station seemed to have gone completely silent. That evening, Jake was in his quarters when Lieutenant Wright contacted him with urgent news. "Sir, we have detected unusual activity near the Kepler system," Wright reported. "Long-range sensors show multiple Zephyrian ships moving toward the research station, much more than would be needed for a peaceful first contact mission." Jake returned to the command center and studied the sensor readings. Wright was right. At least 20 Zephyrian vessels were converging on the research station, including several large ships that appeared to be military vessels. "This does not look like a peaceful scientific exchange," Jake said. He immediately contacted Director Hamilton again. When she saw the sensor data, her expression became grim. "Commander Morrison, I am authorizing you to prepare a rescue mission," Hamilton said. "But you will not launch until I give the direct order. We still need to be certain about what is happening." Jake began assembling a rescue team, but he knew it would take time to prepare. The research station was weeks away, even with humanity's fastest ships. If Maya was in danger, she would have to survive on her own until help could arrive. Over. The next 3 days, Jake continued monitoring the Kepler system. The Zephyrian ships had surrounded the research station, and no communications were getting through. Whatever was happening there, the aliens had cut off all contact with the outside galaxy. On the 4th day, Jake received a message that made his blood run cold. It was a formal communication from Ambassador Vex, transmitted directly to Earth. "People of Earth," the message began, "we regret to inform you that there has been an accident at the research station. Dr. Maya Rodriguez was injured while conducting experiments and is currently receiving medical treatment in our facilities. We are doing everything possible to help her recover. We will contact you when she is well enough to return to duty." Jake knew immediately that this message was a lie. Maya's desperate transmission had made it clear that she was in danger from the Zephyrians themselves. The aliens were now trying to cover up whatever they had done to her. He forwarded the message to Director Hamilton, along with his analysis of the situation. Hamilton's response came within an hour. "Commander Morrison, you are authorized to launch the rescue mission immediately. Take our fastest ship and our best team. Maya Rodriguez is one of our most valuable scientists, and we will not abandon her to these aliens. But remember, this mission must be conducted with extreme care. We still do not know the full extent of Zephyrian capabilities." Jake selected his team carefully. He chose soldiers who were experienced in both space combat and rescue operations. The mission would be dangerous, and he needed people he could trust completely. As his ship prepared to depart, Jake thought about Maya, alone and probably imprisoned somewhere in alien space. She had risked everything to warn Earth about the Zephyrian threat. Now it was his job to bring her home safely. The journey to Kepler 442b would take 2 weeks, even at maximum speed. Jake hoped Maya could survive that long. He also hoped that, when they arrived, they would find a situation they could handle. But deep in his heart, Jake feared that Maya's capture was just the beginning of something much worse. The Zephyrians had shown their true nature, and humanity was not prepared for what might be coming. Dr. Nathan Webb stared at the fragmented data from Maya's transmission for the 100th time. His team of scientists had been working for 3 days to reconstruct the corrupted files, and what they had found made him sick to his stomach. Nathan was the head of Earth's most classified research program, buried deep beneath the Colorado mountains. Very few people knew that Project Prometheus existed, and even fewer knew what they were really studying. But Maya's desperate message had changed everything. "Show me the enhanced images again," Nathan said to his assistant, Dr. Lucy Chen. Lucy brought up the reconstructed pictures on the main screen. The images were still blurry, but the enhancement software had revealed disturbing details. The glass containers clearly held organic tissue samples. The cages definitely contained living beings, and in one corner of one image, there was something that made Nathan's blood freeze. It was a chart on a wall, written in symbols that looked like Zephyrian language. But at the top of the chart, in clear English letters, was a single word: humans. "Lucy, have you finished the linguistic analysis?" Nathan asked. Lucy nodded and pulled up another screen. "We ran the Zephyrian symbols through our translation software. It is not perfect, but we can make out some key phrases. The chart appears to be tracking biological responses to various stimuli: pain tolerance, neural activity, genetic markers. It looks like a research protocol." Nathan walked closer to the screen. "Research protocol for what?" "That's what worries me," Lucy said. "Cross-referencing with the other fragments, it appears the Zephyrians have been conducting systematic studies on multiple species. They are looking for something specific in alien biology." Nathan called up another file on his personal computer. This file contained information that only 5 people on Earth were authorized to see. It was the real reason Project Prometheus existed. "Lucy, I need to show you something that might explain what the Zephyrians are really after," Nathan said. "What I am about to share with you is classified at the highest levels. You cannot discuss this with anyone outside this room." Lucy nodded seriously. She had worked with Nathan for 8 years and understood the importance of security. Nathan opened the classified file and displayed it on a secure screen. 3 years ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected strange energy signatures coming from the outer solar system. We investigated and found something that changed our understanding of human history. The screen showed images of a massive structure floating in the darkness beyond Pluto. It looked like a ship, but it was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The hull was covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. "We call it the artifact," Nathan continued. "Our best estimates suggest it is at least 50,000 years old. But here is the strange part. When our research teams approached it, the artifact activated. It responded to human presence." Lucy stared at the images. "Responded how?" The symbols on the hull began to glow. Energy readings spiked throughout the structure. And when our scientists touched the hull, something incredible happened. The artifact began transmitting information directly into their minds. Nathan pulled up video footage of the research team's first contact with the artifact. The scientists were wearing full spacesuits, but even through the bulky equipment, their excitement was obvious. When the lead researcher placed his gloved hand on the hull, his body language changed completely. He stood straighter, moved with more confidence. "What kind of information?" Lucy asked. "Technical specifications for technology we do not understand. Star charts showing the locations of thousands of inhabited worlds. And most importantly, genetic data showing that modern humans are not what we thought we were." Nathan opened another file, this one containing complex genetic analyses. According to the artifact, humans are descendants of an ancient spacefaring race that once controlled much of this galaxy. This race had abilities that seem impossible by our current understanding of biology. What kind of abilities? Mental. Powers that we would call psychic. The ability to interface directly with technology using thought alone. Enhanced physical capabilities under stress. And something the artifact calls emergency evolution. The ability to rapidly adapt to extreme situations. Lucy looked at the genetic data carefully. She was a skilled biologist and could understand most of the technical details. This suggests that these abilities are still present in human DNA, but they are dormant. Exactly, Nathan said. And, according to the artifact, these abilities activate under specific conditions: extreme stress, life-threatening situations, or exposure to certain energy frequencies. Nathan paused and looked directly at Lucy. Now, think about what Maya discovered. The Zephyrians are conducting experiments on multiple alien species. They are studying pain tolerance, neural activity, and genetic responses to stress. What if they are not just studying random biology? What if they are looking for species that carry the same genetic markers as ancient humans? Lucy's eyes widened as she understood the implications. You think they know about humanity's true heritage? I think they have been systematically hunting down and exterminating any species that shows signs of these ancient genetic traits, Nathan said. And now they have found Earth. Nathan pulled up a galactic map showing the locations of worlds that had been visited by the Zephyrians over the past 1,000 years. Red dots marked planets where intelligent species had mysteriously disappeared after first contact. Look at this pattern, Nathan said. 37 worlds, 37 species that made contact with the Zephyrians and then vanished completely. The official Zephyrian records claim these species destroyed themselves through war or environmental collapse. But what if that is not true? What if the Zephyrians eliminated them? Lucy studied the map. But why? What would they gain from genocide? Power, Nathan said simply. According to the artifact, the ancient human race was incredibly advanced. They had technology that could reshape matter at the molecular level. They could travel instantly between star systems. They were essentially gods compared to other species. If the Zephyrians could steal or control that technology, they would become the undisputed rulers of the galaxy. Nathan opened one final file, this one containing recent observations from their monitoring stations. Over the past 6 months, since the Zephyrians made contact with Earth, we have detected unusual energy readings from the artifact. It is becoming more active, as if it senses that its descendants are in danger. What does that mean for Maya? Lucy asked. Nathan's expression became grim. If our theories are correct, then Maya is not just a prisoner. She is a test subject. The Zephyrians will subject her to increasingly extreme conditions, trying to activate her dormant genetic potential. They want to see if humans really are descendants of the ancient race. And if they succeed in activating her abilities, then they will have proof that humans are the ultimate prize. They will not stop with Maya. They will come for all of humanity, just like they did with the other 37 species. Nathan closed the classified files and turned to face Lucy directly. This is why Project Prometheus was created. We suspected that humanity might have hidden potential, but we needed proof. Maya's situation has given us that proof. Now we need to act. What can we do? Commander Morrison's rescue mission will not reach Maya for another 10 days. We prepare for war, Nathan said. The artifact has been trying to communicate with us for 3 years. It has been waiting for humans to face a serious threat. I think that time has come, Nathan activated the facility's general alarm. Within minutes, his entire research team was assembled in the main laboratory. These were some of Earth's most brilliant scientists, and they had been working in secret to understand humanity's true heritage. "Everyone listen carefully," Nathan announced. "The situation has changed. Maya Rodriguez is not just in danger. She is about to become the key to humanity's survival or extinction. We need to activate every protocol we have developed. Contact the artifact. Begin preparations for full awakening procedures. And pray that we are not too late." As his team rushed to their stations, Nathan thought about Maya, alone and frightened in alien hands. She had no idea that she carried the genetic legacy of an ancient civilization. She did not know that her suffering might be the key to unlocking abilities that could save or damn the human race. But Nathan knew, and he was determined to make sure that Maya's sacrifice would not be in vain. Humanity's greatest secret was about to be revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same. Maya woke up in darkness, her head pounding with pain that felt like knives cutting through her skull. She tried to move her arms, but they were held tight by metal restraints. Cold air touched her skin, and she realized she was wearing only a thin medical gown. She was lying on a metal table in what looked like an operating room. Strange machines surrounded her, their displays showing readings she could not understand. Tubes ran from some of the machines to needles that had been inserted into her arms. Green liquid flowed slowly through the tubes into her body. Maya tried to remember how she had gotten here. The memories came back in pieces: the restricted laboratory, the cages full of suffering aliens, Ambassador Vex and his cold voice, the sharp pain in her neck before everything went black. She had been captured. The Zephyrians had her, and they were conducting experiments on her just like they had done to the other alien species. A door opened, and 3 Zephyrians entered the room. Maya recognized Ambassador Vex, but the other 2 were wearing different clothes. These had white robes instead of gray, and they carried strange instruments that looked like medical tools. "The human subject is awake," one of the medical Zephyrians said. His voice was flat and emotionless, nothing like the musical tones Vex had used during the peaceful negotiations. "Excellent," Vex replied. "We can begin the next phase of testing." Maya tried to speak, but her throat was too dry. She made a croaking sound that caused the aliens to look at her with interest. "Water," Maya managed to whisper. "The subject is requesting hydration," the medical Zephyrian observed. "This shows normal survival instincts. Make a note for the research files." Vex moved closer to Maya's table. His large eyes studied her face without any sign of sympathy. "Dr. Rodriguez, you are probably wondering why you are here. The answer is simple. You are helping us conduct important research that will benefit all intelligent life in the galaxy." "You are torturing me," Maya said, her voice stronger now. "And you are torturing those other beings I saw in the cages." "Torture is an emotional concept," Vex replied. "We are conducting controlled experiments to study biological responses under various conditions. The data we gather will help us understand how different species can be improved." "Improved for what?" Vex tilted his head as if considering how much to tell her. "Your species shows interesting potential, Dr. Rodriguez. Your genetic structure contains markers that we have seen in only a few other races throughout the galaxy. We need to understand what these markers represent." One of the medical Zephyrians approached Maya with a device that looked like a scanner. He held it over different parts of her body, watching the readings on a small screen. "Neural activity is elevated. the medic reported. Stress hormones are within expected ranges. Genetic. Markers remain dormant. Begin the first stimulation protocol, Vex ordered. The machines around Maya began to hum louder. She felt electricity flowing through the needles in her arms. It was not painful at first, just a strange tingling sensation. But slowly, the intensity increased. Maya gritted her teeth as the electrical current grew stronger. Her muscles began to spasm involuntarily. The Zephyrians watched her reactions carefully, taking notes on their instruments. Increase intensity by 15%, Vex said. The pain hit Maya like a lightning bolt. Every nerve in her body screamed as the electricity coursed through her. She could not help crying out, her back arching against the restraints. Interesting, the medical Zephyrian observed. Heart rate has increased dramatically, but the genetic markers remain inactive. The subject shows high pain tolerance compared to other species we have tested. Maya gasped for breath as the electrical stimulation stopped. Sweat covered her body, and her muscles ached from the spasms. But she was still alive, still conscious. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "We are testing your species' response to extreme stress," Vex explained. "According to our research, certain genetic lines show remarkable adaptations when pushed beyond normal limits. We believe humans may possess these traits." The torture continued for hours. The Zephyrians subjected Maya to electrical shocks, extreme temperatures, and chemicals that made her feel like her blood was on fire. Through it all, they monitored her vital signs and took samples of her blood and tissue. Maya tried to stay strong, but the pain was unlike anything she had ever experienced. She found herself thinking about her family back on Earth, about her colleagues who believed she was conducting peaceful research with friendly aliens. None of them knew the truth about what the Zephyrians really were. During one brief break between experiments, Maya noticed something strange. Despite the intense pain and stress, her mind felt clearer than it had in years. She could hear conversations happening in distant parts of the facility, even through the thick walls. She could sense the emotions of the Zephyrians around her, feeling their cold curiosity and excitement about their research. "The subject's neural activity is showing unusual patterns," one of the medics reported. "Brainwave readings are unlike anything we have recorded from other species." Vex moved closer to examine the readings. "Are the genetic markers beginning to activate?" "Not yet. But there are definitely changes occurring. The subject may be more responsive to stimulation than typical members of her species." Maya tried to understand what was happening to her. The pain was terrible, but something else was changing inside her mind. She could feel connections forming that had never existed before. It was as if parts of her brain that had been sleeping her entire life were finally waking up. "Begin the next protocol," Vex ordered. "Use the neural probe." One of the medics brought out a device that looked like a metal crown covered in thin wires. Maya's eyes widened with fear as she realized what they intended to do. "No," she said, struggling against her restraints. "Please do not do this." "The subject is showing strong resistance to neural examination," the medic observed. "This suggests she understands the implications of the procedure." "Proceed anyway," Vex said. "We need to map her brain activity during maximum stress conditions." The metal crown was placed on Maya's head, and immediately she felt sharp pain as the wires penetrated her scalp. But this pain was different from the earlier torture. This pain seemed to reach directly into her thoughts, making it impossible to think clearly. Images flashed through Maya's mind. She saw alien worlds she had never visited, strange creatures she had never studied, and technology that seemed impossible. For a moment, she thought she was losing her sanity. But then the images began to make sense. She was seeing the memories of other beings, other species that the Zephyrians had experimented on. She could feel their fear, their pain, their desperate hope for rescue that never came. Remarkable, Vex said, studying his instruments. The subject is accessing neural pathways that should not be active in her species. Her brain is adapting to the probe in ways we have never observed. Maya realized that whatever was happening, to her, was not normal. The torture was changing her in ways the Zephyrians had not expected. She could feel power growing inside her mind, abilities that she had never possessed before. "The genetic markers are beginning to fluctuate," the medic reported with excitement. "We may be witnessing the activation process we have been seeking." Maya closed her eyes and tried to focus on the new sensations in her mind. She could sense the electronic systems throughout the facility. She could feel the thoughts and emotions of every living being nearby. And somewhere deep inside her consciousness, she could hear a voice that seemed to come from very far away. "Do not fight the change," the voice whispered. "Embrace what you are becoming. Your people need you to survive this." Maya did not understand who was speaking to her or how she could hear thoughts that were not her own, but she knew that something fundamental was happening to her body and mind. The Zephyrians thought they were studying her, but they were actually awakening abilities that had been hidden in human genetics for thousands of years. The torture continued, but Maya began to endure it differently. Instead of just surviving the pain, she started to learn from it. Each experiment taught her more about her growing abilities. Each moment of agony made her stronger and more aware of what she was becoming. The Zephyrians had made a terrible mistake. They thought they were studying a primitive human scientist, but they were actually creating something that would threaten their entire civilization. Director Lisa Hamilton stood in the deepest level of the Colorado facility, staring at something that should not have existed. The artifact filled the entire underground chamber, its alien hull stretching up into darkness. Strange symbols covered every surface, glowing with soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. "How long has it been active like this?" Hamilton asked Dr. Nathan Webb, who stood beside her with a tablet full of readings. 72 hours, Nathan replied. "Ever since we received Maya's transmission, the artifact has been increasing its energy output. Our computers cannot keep up with all the data it is trying to transmit." Hamilton walked closer to the massive structure. She had seen pictures of the artifact before, but being in its presence was overwhelming. The thing was easily the size of a city block, and it hummed with power that made her bones vibrate. "What kind of data?" she asked. "Technical specifications for weapons we cannot build with current technology. Star charts showing hidden routes through space that would cut our travel time by months, and detailed biological information about human genetic potential." Nathan led Hamilton to a control station where his team was working frantically to process the artifact's transmissions. Dr. Lucy Chen looked up as they approached, her face pale with exhaustion and excitement. "Director Hamilton, you need to see this," Lucy said, pulling up a holographic display. "The artifact has been teaching us about something called the Awakening Protocol." The hologram showed a complex genetic sequence that looked nothing like normal human DNA. But according to the display, this sequence existed in every human being on Earth, hidden within what scientists had always called junk DNA. According to them, the artifact, Lucy continued, This genetic sequence can activate under extreme stress conditions. When it does, it grants abilities that we would consider impossible: enhanced strength, telepathic communication, and the ability to interface directly with technology using thought alone. Hamilton studied the genetic data carefully. Are you saying that every human has the potential for these abilities? Not every human, Nathan said. The artifact indicates that only about 30% of the population carries the complete genetic sequence, but Maya Rodriguez is one of them. And right now, the Zephyrians are subjecting her to exactly the kind of extreme stress that would trigger the awakening process. Hamilton felt her blood run cold. They are turning her into a weapon without knowing it. Worse than that, Lucy said. The artifact warns that an uncontrolled awakening can be catastrophic. Maya could develop abilities beyond her capacity to handle. She could lose her sanity, or her powers could grow so strong that she becomes a danger to everyone around her. Nathan pulled up another display showing energy readings from the direction of the Kepler system. We have been monitoring space in that direction since Maya was captured. Over the past day, we have detected unusual energy signatures that match the patterns the artifact associates with awakening events. You think Maya's abilities are already manifesting? Hamilton asked. We think the process has begun, Nathan confirmed, which means we have very little time to act. The artifact has provided us with technical specifications for weapons and ships that could help rescue Maya, but building them would take months. We need another solution. Hamilton turned back to the artifact, its pulsing lights reflecting off her face. What other options do we have? The artifact contains fully functional technology from the ancient human civilization, Nathan explained. Weapons, ships, and defense systems that are thousands of years ahead of anything we have today. But there is a problem. The technology only responds to humans who have undergone the awakening process. So we would need awakened humans to operate ancient human technology? Exactly. And according to the artifact, there is only one safe way to trigger the awakening process. The subject must be willing, must understand what is happening, and must be guided through the process by someone who has already awakened. Hamilton understood the implications immediately. But Maya is the first human to undergo awakening in thousands of years. There is no one to guide her. That's not entirely true, Lucy said quietly. The artifact has been trying to communicate with awakened humans for the past 3 years. Dr. Patricia Valdez, who led the first research team to make contact with the artifact, has been showing signs of enhanced abilities. Hamilton knew Patricia well. She was a brilliant physicist who had volunteered for the most dangerous mission in human history when they first discovered the artifact. Patricia had been the first human to touch the alien structure, and she had never been quite the same afterward. Where is Dr. Valdez now? Hamilton asked. In her laboratory on level 7, Nathan replied. She has been working 18 hours, a day since Maya's capture, trying to understand the technical data the artifact is providing. She claims she can hear voices from the ancient civilization, guiding her through the construction of advanced weapons. Hamilton made a decision that would change the course of human history. Take me to her. If Patricia can help us build weapons to rescue Maya, then that is what we will do. And if we need more awakened humans to operate those weapons, then we will find volunteers. They took an elevator down to level 7, where Patricia Valdez had converted 3 laboratory rooms into a single workspace filled with half-built devices that looked nothing like human technology. Patricia herself stood at a workbench assembling, something that seemed to shift and change shape as Hamilton watched. Patricia was a small woman in her 40s, with graying hair that she usually kept neat and professional. But now her hair was disheveled, and her clothes looked like she had been wearing them for days. When she turned to greet Hamilton, her eyes held an intensity that was both brilliant and slightly frightening. "Director Hamilton," Patricia said, her voice carrying an odd musical quality that had not been there before her contact with the artifact. "I have been expecting you. The ancestors told me you would come." "The ancestors?" Hamilton asked. "The ancient human civilization that built the artifact," Patricia explained. "Their consciousness patterns are stored within the structure. They have been waiting for their descendants to face a serious threat so they could share their knowledge and technology." Patricia gestured to the devices she had been building. "These are personal defense systems based on ancient human designs. They create energy shields that can stop any known weapon, and they amplify the user's natural abilities during combat." Hamilton examined one of the devices. It looked like a simple bracelet made of metal that seemed to contain swirling galaxies. "How many of these can you build?" "As many as we need," Patricia replied. "But they will only work for humans who have awakened abilities. The technology recognizes genetic markers and will not activate for anyone else." "Then we need to find volunteers who are willing to undergo the awakening process," Hamilton decided. "People who understand the risks, but are willing to take them to save Maya and protect Earth." Nathan stepped forward. "Director, I volunteer. I have been working with this technology for 3 years. I understand what we are facing better than anyone." "I volunteer as well," Lucy added. "Maya is my friend, and if these abilities can help rescue her, then I want them." Hamilton looked around the room at the assembled scientists and technicians. Every person present raised their hand to volunteer. These were some of Earth's brightest minds, and they were willing to risk their sanity and their lives to save one young woman and protect their planet. "Patricia, how long does the awakening process take?" Hamilton asked. "With proper guidance and the artifact's help, about 6 hours per person," Patricia replied. "But we need to be careful. Not everyone who attempts awakening will survive the process. The ancient genes are strong, but the human mind is not always ready for such rapid evolution." Hamilton made her final decision. "We will proceed. Select 20 volunteers for the first awakening group. If they succeed, we will awaken more. Meanwhile, prepare whatever weapons and ships the artifact can provide. Commander Morrison's rescue. Mission is still 10 days away from reaching Maya. We need to launch our own mission before then, using technology that can actually stand against the Zephyrians." As her team began preparations for humanity's greatest transformation, Hamilton looked once more at the pulsing artifact. Somewhere in the darkness of space, Maya Rodriguez was suffering at the hands of aliens who thought humans were primitive and helpless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Humanity's children were awakening, and the galaxy would tremble before their power.